I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Who are you?
Hey, this is Matt once again. We're about to another video. There's another paid request, this time from Braw at Stipe. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, feel free to send them either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. It could be for a commentary, review, re-review, randomness, topic, reaction, out of the blueness, a list, whatever it may be. And feel free. Now this is for a Guy Ritchie film I had never seen until now called Revolver from 2005, starring Jason Statham. You also have André, pretty much the rapper André 3000. You have Vincent Pastore. You have Ray Liotta, who is your villain. This one was not what I was expecting. I'll say that off the... Apparently this is kind of the black sheep of Guy Ritchie films. Like the ones you don't talk about. Because Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, I remember liking. Snatch. I like Snatch, but that one... Sherlock Holmes, I do like those movies. More so the first one. His Aladdin movie, the remake from a few years ago, I thought was his worst film. I did not care for The Gentleman. Yeah. This one was, I do feel was a bit too long. I do feel there's parts that could have been a bit truncated. But I will say at the end of the day, this was an interesting watch. Because like I said, it wasn't what I expected. I expected, again, okay, he's working with Statham, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, crime drama, maybe a little bit of humor, but this is some people online have mentioned in reference to Donnie Darko. I would say a little bit more reference to Fight Club. And I do think Fight Club is better than this, but it's a mind twister of a movie. It's a film that a lot of people feel is pretentious, confusing. I pretty much understood a bit what it was going, and I guess I appreciate its ambition. It's kind of like a good version of the fucking guy. I forgot his name. I like Drive with Ryan Gosling, but the director did other stuff. Like Only God Forgives, but I don't. Like I hated that movie. I know the director's name, but when you think of Only God Forgives, your brain just melts. At least it does for me. Nicholas Winding Refn. A good version of his movie would be Drive. I like Drive with Ryan Gosling. And it's much better than this, in my opinion. But I'm just saying, compared to like Only God Forgives, like other pretentious films, in my opinion, this one at least, the acting was solid. The story kept me like, where is this going? Again, I do think in the middle there's portions that could be just goes on a bit too long, or it get a little bit boring in the middle. But when it's getting to the third act, I'm like, okay, because how the hell do I explain this movie? Jason Statham, who I do like as an action star, as an actor. I like him in the first two Transporter films. I love the two Crank films, the Mechanic Resurrection, Safe. I do like Safe. I liked him in Lot Stock, Two Smoking Barrels. He was fun in a film called Spy with Melissa McCarthy. I do like him as an actor. He does a really nice job. I liked his look, where he's got the mustache and a longer hair. I would like to see him use that look a bit more in other movies. And he was a guy who worked with Ray Liotta. Ray Liotta is a guy who deals with illegal gambling. Him and his group of people go around town. And one thing led to another. Jason Statham worked for Ray Liotta. Some bad things happened. He was given a chance to stool, to tell the cops and FBI about Ray Liotta. He doesn't. So they go, do you want 14 years in prison or 7 years in solitary confinement? He chooses solitary confinement. He gets out, and a little bit of a ploy to fuck over Ray Liotta. He also gets this money using this formula, and that's where it gets a bit more complicated. Now, the way I'm saying it is not told in that way. It's told like later in the film, and then you find out a bit more of the story as it goes along, as it flashes back to, hey, what happened before, what happened, how did this whole thing start? Because Jason Statham meets these two guys, André 3000 and Vincent Pastore, and again, God, it's hard to talk about this without spoiling it. It's very striking in colors. Like Ray Liotta, when he gets his tans, it's very blue, like neon blue. It does interesting things where, for one or two scenes, the scene will shift to animation, and then back to live action, and then back to animation, kind of show like a more over-the-top version of the events happening. It does try to go deep and philosophical, which is, I just turned a lot of people off at the time. But again, not expecting this. And with the title Revolver, I just felt Revolver, shooting people, typical Guy Ritchie film. But no, he wanted to go a little bit more mind-bending in this. And like you could tell certain things are off. Like André pulls out a $12 bill. And at the end of the day, I found it kind of a fascinating movie. I mean, I always complain about wanting a bit more of an original film, and this did that. And I enjoyed the actors. It's always nice to see Ray Liotta in there. Like I said, I'm a fan of Statham. So I gave a shit to try to piece the puzzle together. It's not an action film. If you don't expect an action film, you're going to be disappointed. There's not a lot of action in it. There's little teeny bits, but like Statham doesn't really do much action-wise. Again, it's more of a crime film mixed in with the surreal Fight Club type of elements. Again, most people mention Donnie Darko, but I think Fight Club is more appropriate. I'm ready for the fucking song to play. Where is my mind? Where is my mind? I gotta go into spoilers starting now. I do find it an interesting movie. If you like Jason Statham, it's not as good as Fight Club, but if you are open to those kind of films, I do think it's worth a look. I think Statham gives a pretty good performance. I said I think it's better than a lot, other than Drive, the other shit Nicholas Winding Refn has done. Like, this deserves more praise than that shit. Like, Only God Forgives and the Neon Demon and his stupid fucking TV show, which I talked about, I already forgot, in my opinion. But the critics hated this film, took a dump on it. I mean, it's fucking better than the Aladdin movie he made. And just my thought process. But, like, early on, he finds these cards. Statham finds these cards. It's like, take the elevator. You should take the elevator. And he has like a blackout. Or pick this up. And he picks it up. And as soon as he picks it up, there's a shootout that happens. And this card saved his life. And one thing I didn't like that one scene, it's the only scene they do it, thankfully, but it's very, very shaky. In that one bit of action scene where Statham's getting shot at. I don't know why. Thankfully they didn't do that for the rest of the movie. I don't know that one scene why it was so damn shaky. I don't know. But Vincent Pastore and André, they meet with Statham. They pretty much say, hey, give us your money. Do what we say. We'll protect you. We had a doctor look at you. You got 3 days to live. He's like, that's bullshit. He goes to people. They say he does have 3 days to live. So he's like, fuck, what am I going to do now? I guess I'll go on to see what happens with this. Meanwhile, Ray Liotta and his men are looking for Statham. They're also dealing with these other gang members and a little bit of gang warfare going on. Mark Strong is in the film, which was nice to see as a hitman working with Ray Liotta, who has a bit of a conscience to him. Mark Strong is a good actor. It's nice to see him in there. I didn't care for the fate of his character, but I did like... I thought his character was a bit more interesting than I thought it would be because they gave a bit of a conscience. And then you did a bit of the backstory where Ray Liotta needed a card man for a game. Statham went ahead and did it. He won, but the guy was talking about his mom. He's like, oh, you don't do that. Shoots the guy in the foot. There was a shootout. Then ultimately, again, Statham went to jail. He didn't steal because they threatened his brother's family and his brother's wife and brother's daughter. So he took it. And then when he was in solitary, there were these two guys that he didn't really hear or see, but would pass books. And throughout those 7 years, one was like a chess master and one was a con man. I will say, if you've seen enough movies, you could kind of predict where that aspect is going. Because, and this is spoilers, Statham mentioned he never saw them and he never talked with them. And then here, he's with two guys. Now think about it. In Solitaire, two guys he never saw or heard. Now there's these two guys, and the one guy, André, they're always playing chess. And Statham mentioned he was the guy was a chess master. And you try to figure out. So that might be something you may figure out before the movie does. Tells you. But anyway, it's a formula to have the ultimate win. If you follow this formula, you will always win. And Statham gets out and he's winning all this money. And then these guys come in and... What I mean by it gets very mind-fuckery... It goes deep into the ego. Based on conversations that André and Vincent Pastore, mainly André, has with Statham. About how certain things, almost a supernatural level. Like there's this bit which I thought was interesting. And it seems like this that made me go, okay, this is different than what I thought it would be. Statham goes through a windshield head first. And then it does a reverse of that. And then talk about what if he had second chance, second fate. And then a phone call saves him. It's like, why are you doing this? Like, you're making me give my money away. And, like, this is all part of this big plan. This big ultimate win plan. And it goes even further that the ultimate win is not against Ray Liotta. It's against the enemy that everybody has. And it's the ego. You know, it's a thing that everybody... We're doing this to help you fight your ego and your humiliation and loss of money will hurt your ego. We can't tell you because you're not ready for that yet. But in a way, doing this kind of breaks down the barriers of his ego. Because, you know, when people blame something on the devil, blame something on this, it could be a part of the ego where... And Statham has a very interesting monologue about, you know, that's why we go to the boss, that's why we go day to day, that's why we do this and that, because we want to feel like we're worth it. We want to feel like we're better than someone, or we're the diamond in the rough. Oh, I'm special. You want to know how good you are, how attractive you are, how generous you are, that you're special. If you break that down, you get rid of it, you may find a bit more happiness. Like a very, like, almost Buddhist or whatever you want to call it. And then you even have a moment in an elevator where Statham, like a 5 or so minute scene where Statham is fighting his ego in his head. In a way, it's almost like a fight with his, I would say, like with his soul, with his process of, it's ego tackled that way. Because how many times I always talk about people, you know, we all have an ego to a point, and I talk about actors, or, oh, this person has the ego, this person has the ego. So taking that full force in the head first is something I haven't really seen done before. And yet, I do think there's some moments in the middle that either could be shortened a bit. It's a very experimental film, and that doesn't always work out, but yeah, this one I found rather interesting. There's no opening credits. There's no end credits. There's not really any end credits, which I'm surprised they got away with. Like, how do you get away with not having credits with the... Isn't that against some regulation type of thing? Apparently they were able to get away with it. Just, there's no opening credit. I didn't see any end credits. I think there's like a couple people, like professors talked, but it's like a black screen. I mean, okay. Then it's different, unique. You give your money away because it hurts him, it hurts the ego. And then once he gets rid of it, he has a smile on his face. He's much more satisfied. He's much more happy. And then Ray Liotta, like before, Statham went in and humiliated himself with Ray Liotta. I'm sorry, please forgive me. At the end, to help battle the ego. And that's like the ultimate enemy for everyone. And once you battle that, then it's the ultimate win. And you'll be happier. And like Ray Liotta, we see the opposite, where he succumbs to his ego. Where, as Andre's 3000, as André says it, what people don't realize is that you and your ego are not the same person. But if you keep thinking it's the same person, you may end up what happened with Ray Liotta's character. And like I said, it's a... And then part of me wonders if André and Vincent Pastore were even real people. Because there's a moment where André says, oh, we're the same... we didn't do this because we liked you. We did this because we're the same as you. And I'm thinking, okay, well, yeah, the same as in you're in the same predicament. You got over your ego. But now part of me is like, did Vincent Pastore and André even exist? Or are they different parts of his brain? Like in Solitaire. And they don't say that. It's not like Fight Club where they say, oh no, Tyler Durden wasn't real. They don't go into that. It's just I'm thinking right now, was André and Vincent Pastore even real? Were they figments of his imagination? And that's him kind of figuring this out for this ultimate plan? I don't know for certain right now. I really don't. I guess you could kind of look at it either way. Like, did he really not, like, you have these cards, he seen, and he's not really sick. He's not going to die in 3 days. Like, that was a lie. To help him give away his money, to get him set up to get rid of his ego. And then that also helps him save his niece, who's in trouble. And I do think, like, the actors do a good job. Vincent Pastore, André, Statham, Ray Liotta. I don't really have any issues with them. Mark Strong, he has a nice conscious moment where he saves Statham's brother and the daughter and kills most of them, but then he misses one guy and he gets taken out. I wish that didn't happen. I didn't. There's interesting scenes, like there's a part where Ray Liotta, another gang member's trying to shoot him, and so one of his bodyguards holding him down. But unbeknownst to the bodyguard, he's actually doing worse, because he's holding Ray Liotta down, and Ray Liotta sees the assassin, but she's not quite dead, and she's just out of it. She's still trying to shoot at him, and he's trying to tell the guy, trying to get him up, so it's like the bodyguard's going to get his fucking boss killed, and there's no dialogue or noise except music, and before that, many scenes before that, there's this bit where Statham has to go with André and Vincent Pastore to steal some stuff, and they put sleeping gas, and while that's doing it, it'll cut from them being animated to... this is a very experimental film. And... was this 2005 or 2007? I do think it's 2005, but now I'm wondering, was it... I'll figure it out after the video, so I'm not wasting people's time. But like I said, other than I do think it has a bit of pacing issues. Mark Strong, I would have done something more with his fate. Yes, I'm a sucker for Statham doing a bit of action, so it would have been nice to see him do some of that stuff. But that's not the kind of movie this is. I do think that the title and the poster kind of would trick people. Because then you think of Guy Ritchie's other movies, you think of the title Revolver, you think of Jason Statham, most of the films he's been a part of. I do think it's kind of a bait and switch. People go see this film, they want to see either Statham action film or usual Guy Ritchie crime drama. This is kind of a different animal on its own, and it starts off thinking it's that, but the more it goes, the more it's like, oh, okay, it got a bit more interesting as it went along. Like the beginning, okay, where's this going? Then the middle, and then at the third act, oh, what the fuck? So, but yeah, I do appreciate what Guy Ritchie was trying to do. Yeah, like I said, it was at least interesting and different and a bit more unique. Again, like I've said, a little bit more original. But granted, just because it's original doesn't automatically give it a pass. But this one, I would give it a pass. I thought it was a pretty decent flick. So with that said, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.